Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mental Health Movement podcast, Voice for the Voiceless. Today, we have a very special guest, someone I've known for well over 20 years now, and is here to talk about mental health and what it means to her. One of my best friends and fellow warrior, Victoria. How are you, Victoria?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
It's so fucking nice to see you.
It's nice seeing you too.
It's been what, since December?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's always nice catching up with you.
Always feels like a year since I've seen
I know, but then it's weird because even though it feels like that, we always just catch up with each other right
yeah.
then and there. It's like, okay, so what happened? How's everything going? It's just great when you have a friend like that,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I can't believe I've known you 20 years.
I can't believe that either.
I was thinking about it before I started recording. I'm like, how the hell have I known you for 20 years?
I know, and it's crazy. And I'm so grateful that you're still in my life. And it's crazy because in the beginning, I didn't like you.
Right. She hated me, guys.
I did. I was a cold hard bitch. Back in 9th grade, I was like, I hate everybody. But now it's like, now he's my best friend. We talk, like, I try to talk to you as much as I can too.
We talk almost every day.
Yeah, I fucking love it. By the way, I want to tell you that.
Thank you again for coming on.
Yeah.
Just wanted to get you on here, talk a little bit about mental health, ask you a couple questions, just kind of
shooting the breeze.
Yeah, shooting the breeze, shooting shit, however however you want to say it. Cool. So I guess let's start with the easiest question. What does mental health mean to Victoria? What does it mean to you?
Mental health meaning to me is just pretty much like trying to make sure I'm okay. Like for me, it's such, you have great questions. I just like still trying to process it. It's just something for me that I want to grow with. It's something I want to get better with because there's always going to be struggles in your life, always things that you're dealing with. So it's like, I want to make sure my mental health is in check so that way I can help others, and mental health in general is just an amazing thing to try to work on.
Right.
Because like you said in your previous podcast, before nobody really cared about it.
Yeah.
But now when you go to the doctors, like they're asking you about your mental health and it's an amazing thing because not a lot of people cared about that.
Right. So
I just feel like it's something that just needs done nowadays. I feel like if people work on their mental health, I feel like things would be a lot better with the world,
Yeah. I feel like in today's society, it's good to know that there are so many people trying to work for that cause. And while it's a nice, like, positive step, it's just kind of one of those things where we're doing the right thing, but it's still, obviously it's not enough. You can say you're there for somebody, but I feel like a lot of people don't know what being there for somebody means.
Or some people don't know how to do it.
Right, exactly. And it's one of those things where most people that will listen to your problems don't try to understand. They just listen to respond. It's just like, oh, how are you doing? Oh, well, I got all these things going on. I broke my leg. My dog just died. Somebody just passed away. And, while you're sitting there trying to collect all that information, and any person, it's normal to feel overwhelmed of all those things. But most people that try to be there for others, it's just kind of like, don't know what that comes with.
Yeah.
So, when you say you're there for me and vice versa, we know what that comes with.
Yeah.
We know it's not just I'm just going to respond and let you hear what you want to hear. I'm going to, walk in your shoes and see how you're dealing with something and then respond.
Exactly. Like process it and just understand like, oh, hey, I'm not going to just spit out and be like, oh, just breathe. You're fine. You're going to get through it. It's just one of those things where we understand each other, where it's like, okay, this is what's going on. How can I help you?
Yeah.
And instead of being like, oh, just breathe. I hate that. Even though I have it tattooed, I'm looking at my wrong line. Even though I have it tattooed on me, people are always like, oh, just breathe. But it's like, it's a nice reminder, but it's not what you need to hear at the time. It's
I feel like when most of the people say just breathe or, count backwards from 10. I remember, I think I took like one anger management class in like 6th grade. And that was like one of the only things they said is count backwards from 10. Before I was even aware of mental health resources or before I was there, trying to better myself, my parents didn't really try to, give me those resources to reach out to. They just kind of, oh, well, I'm here if you need to talk about anything. And, while that's great, and I'm not telling you parents that are listening to not be there for your kids, but being there and listening and having a professional listen who's not on the outside, who doesn't control what their kids do day-to-day basis, it's a completely different animal when you have a professional involved. So it's nice to see society work its way into the right direction.
Yeah, I totally agree. And it's great that it's starting to become normalized, I
Right.
feel too,
Mhm.
where it's not just, oh, you're a schizophrenia person, like you need a therapist. It's like anybody nowadays. It's
Right.
like, oh, hey, you're dealing with something, let's try to help you. Like, I love that.
Right.
So,
And it's going through music. It's kind of going through schools. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, when we were going through
it was just guidance
schools, right?
counselor, but it wasn't like really.
And a guidance counselor, they're great resources.
Yeah.
I know some really, really good guidance counselors from when I was growing up, but guidance counselors just kind of, they're on the entry level of the actual people who are getting paid to give a diagnosis, getting paid to prescribe medicine if you need that.
Yeah.
I'm very against medicine, but some people need it, and
That's me. Yeah. But it's good because it's like, where you stand, and like, I want to explain my story about that
Right,
after
right.
too, but go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to
No, no,
interrupt
no,
you,
you're
but
okay. But it's just one of those things that parents don't realize, that guidance counselors are there for the kids, but
Mhm.
it's not the same as talking to a therapist or
Yeah.
whatever.
Hmm.
Um,
Totally agree.
but it's good to see that society's kind of making its way into a better space, just not
We're
it's
not
not
there
where it needs to
yet.
be. Right,
Yeah, we're not there
exactly.
yet, but we are working towards it, which is good.
Right.
You
And
know?
you're seeing organizations come out in the month of May, which, for those of you who don't know, it's, Mental Health Awareness Month. Her and I
I
both
got
have on the
shirts.
shirts.
It's okay to not be
And
okay.
breaking the stigma.
Yeah.
It's something I'm very passionate about, something she's very passionate about, and many
Yeah.
others too. And
It's something to be passionate
right.
about, because it's like, I feel like we're good people that we want to help others.
Mhm.
Obviously, look at Chris. He's doing all these amazing things. I know I'm going to brag about you right now, but he's doing all these amazing things that are trying to help all of us,
Right.
and it's just really nice to see that and have that.
Yeah.
So again, that's why I fucking love you, man. You're great.
I love you too. I always feel like, whenever I have that conversation, people talking me up, and I don't like bragging about anything. I always say I try to be there for the people that I didn't have when I was younger. I didn't have mentors. I didn't have people to look up to. I had a dad and a mom, and I use air quotes because, parent versus provider kind of situation.
Yeah,
and
you're right.
a lot of people grew up with that too. So I'm not going to sit there and say I'm special because I'm the only one that went through it. It's not true.
Yeah.
But, like I said, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And you see all these companies lighting up blue and purple, the colors of mental health, the green ribbon for mental health. It's a great start, but we have so much further to go.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally agree.
So I guess let's go to the next question, because I feel like this is one I specifically wrote for you,
Okay.
because I know you've kind of struggled with it. So at what point in your life did you start looking for mental health resources?
So for me, I would say I kind of grew up in, being a Jehovah's Witness, as you
Mhm.
knew. And for me, I felt like I was going through a lot because, obviously being in an organization like that. And two, my parents got divorced when I was 5. So it was a lot to deal with, a lot in my childhood. And so I believe, I had a lot of anger issues too. So my mom would be like, let's go talk to a therapist, let's go do something. So obviously I started really young. But for me, knowing that I wanted to do it, I would say maybe when I was like 18, 19, because I started realizing like, hey, I have things I want to work on. So I pursued it, and what is it again? I forgot the question.
Just when you started
Oh,
looking,
okay,
what
good.
point? Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I would say like 18 or 19, because it was just, that's when I was older and knew about it.
Right. I feel like at such a young age to start therapy, and just any kind of mental health stuff, because for me, I mean, I'm not ashamed to talk about it now. I mean, I was ashamed to admit that I was in therapy forever. And
Oh, I was an open book. I was like, I'm seeing a therapist. Y'all right, guys, but
I grew up with a, emotionally unavailable father, and, a mom that just kind of did her thing. And, whatever. I'm not gonna dig into that. That's what I got a
yeah,
therapist for.
yeah.
Um, but when I first started therapy, I remember the first two sessions was me nothing but crying.
Yeah.
And I was 27, I think 26, 27 when I first started therapy. And to be a guy and openly talk about mental health is, difficult in its own.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people out there who kind of like stigmatize the fact that, oh, men, we're supposed to be tough and supposed to take care of our women, and
Yeah.
our emotions don't exist, whatever. And
So wrong.
I will be one of the first to openly say, guys, that you're not any less of a man for wanting to do better for yourself.
Exactly. And that's how I feel too. And
Yeah.
it's sad that that's how life has put it. Like men have to be the stronger one, not talk about your emotions. But it's true. Nowadays, like guys need to talk about it too. You go through things that I go through too. It
Right.
may not be the same exact thing, but you want to talk to somebody and get that open. And I'm just so proud of you because a lot of people don't want to do that
Right.
nowadays.
And
And I know, like what you say though, therapy's not for everybody.
Yeah.
So I get that.
Yeah.
But it's really great to hear your experience with that though.
So with that last comment about therapy not being for everybody,
Yeah.
it kind of goes into the follow-up question I had. How difficult was that path to finding a therapist for you?
Oh my God. Since I started so early though,
Mhm.
to be honest, I can't remember like
Right.
my first therapy session, but like it's always been up and downs, you find somebody that you thought you connected with. Like when I was a Jehovah's Witness, I connected with a therapist. And I thought everything was great. She really helped me. But when I was about 21, 20, I got disfellowshipped. So she was like, sorry, I can't talk to you anymore. And I'm not trying to bash on the religion or anything like that, but anybody that's a Jehovah's Witness can't talk to me. So that's why half my family members don't talk to me. So it was really difficult because I felt like she was a genuine therapist that helped me out. And then it was like, oh fuck, like I'm all alone in the world now. What the hell do I do? So obviously it was going to be trial and errors. Like I would get insurance and try to look up my insurances and be like, okay, who covers this? But then one time I had a therapist that was very controlling and I didn't need that. I needed somebody that was going to be there, listen to me. And I remember clear to this day, I told her I was really proud of myself for standing up to myself at my job.
Mhm.
And she's like, what? Why would you do that? That's terrible. You need to do it this way. And I said, bitch, no, I don't. I'm happy that I did what I did. And this isn't working out, so I fired her, and I never fired a therapist before. But it's going to be a trial and error. Like
Right.
just recently, like what I was telling you about, through my job, I have Talkspace, which I'm so grateful of that my job is paying for therapy. But I had a therapist there that we vibed really well. We were talking for about like a month or two. And then she just ghosted me, like literally gone. I messaged her. I was like, hey, where are you at? Like, I want to talk to you. I thought we were doing well. And then nothing. And I messaged her like 3 times and I'm like, yo, this isn't working. So I need to get a new one. And then when I tried getting a new one, you knew all about that because I called you and I was like, this isn't working out. This is kind of weird for me.
Right.
And then I finally found one that I'm actually vibing with. I hope that it stays, because it's always a hit or miss. I feel sometimes but I'm always willing to keep trying because I want to do it. And I don't know if it's just because, I started therapy so young that
Right.
I feel like it's normal for me to have
Mhm.
a therapist. But for me, I just always want to keep growing and I want to help myself with the past,
Right.
because even though I've grown and I try not to live in the past most of the time, I just feel like if I can try to resolve certain things, it'll help me further myself in the future,
Right. For me, I went through a total of 3 therapists. I'm on my third one. Have had her almost 2 years now.
That's amazing.
And the first therapist that I had, like I said before, was 2 hours of me crying. Or not 2 hours, I'm sorry, 2 sessions of me crying. Before I moved from New Jersey back to Florida, one of the last things that she said to me, she's like, it's amazing to see how much growth one person showed in I think I was only with her 6 months, maybe, I
Okay.
think. Um, and she said, you wouldn't look at me in your first 2 sessions. And, she's like, I think I remember I shaved like my whole face. I, got like a buzz cut like I have now. And just kind of, she's like, I could see your face, I see that you want to do better for yourself. And, she called me a game changer. And that's one of the things that I have tattooed on my arm because of that therapist.
That's amazing.
Moving down here to Florida, I got a therapist, I think, want to say maybe a year after I had started my new job at Tech Data. It was like 2018. First session, she didn't take notes and said, would you take medicine, for, depression medication? I said, I would prefer not to, because I don't agree with medicine. This isn't a knock at anybody.
Yeah, no,
Um,
not at all.
and then she just kind of, I don't want to say manipulated me, her response, but she basically said, if you had diabetes or high blood pressure, you would take medicine because you need it for your health. So the second session, had my first anxiety attack. She cut me off mid-sentence and me venting.
Oh shit, I remember this.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That's
And
fucked up.
yeah.
That's really fucked up.
And she basically said, oh, well, that's all the time we have right now.
No, you don't fucking do that shit. I had a similar experience, except I kind of cut her off.
Right.
Because my therapist that I had at the time, she's very nice,
Mhm.
but she was more like, oh, you're doing great. Just continue to breathe, keep going. And I'm like, anything else? Anything else you want
Right.
to say? So I remember I was having a panic attack in my session too. And she was like, just keep breathing. You're gonna get through this.
Oh,
You're
goodness.
strong. And I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Right.
And I got off the session and I bawled my eyes out.
Right.
And I'm like, what the fuck? I came to talk to you to try to get help, and I
You
didn't even
feel
get
worse.
anything. Exactly.
Right.
I'm like, I'm so over that.
And I remember it took a conversation with somebody from NAMI, which, as you guys know from 2 podcasts ago with Tiffany, it's the National Alliance on Mental Illness, I believe. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that abbreviation. I apologize. And I asked him, I said, I had a really bad experience with a therapist, and it's kind of made me giving up on trying to, do better for myself and, improve my life. And I asked him, like, how would I go about looking for another therapist? I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And the first thing that he said was, every therapist that you come across, you ask questions, you ask them what techniques they use to help people heal. And you got to know that you control the pace to every session. And I say that to everybody because it sticks to the back of my head that therapy is not for everybody.
Yeah.
But therapy helps for the people willing to put in the work for therapy.
That's true.
For a lot of you who may listen that are skeptic about therapy, I'm not here to push you on it.
Me either.
I'm here to tell you that I am coming from a place who used to be severely bitter, very depressed all the time. Not to say I don't have my episodes,
Of course, we're only human.
Right.
Yeah.
And it has helped me grow into the person that I am today. I'm not gonna brag on anything that I've done because I don't want to.
I know. But let me just say, as a friend of being with you for 20 years, like, I'm bragging for you. Like, he's doing fucking amazing. He really is. Like you need this, okay? You need this. You're doing amazing. You really are.
I appreciate you so much.
Of course, I appreciate you.
So I guess my question after that one for you, what's the most important lesson that you yourself has learned from therapy?
Important lesson, maybe like trying to talk about something and maybe trying to get the answer and letting it go.
Right.
Because it's like sometimes when you talk about it, you still hold on to it.
You harp on it.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, well, I talked about it, but I still want to think about it. I want to do this. Like for me, I've learned to, okay, this is what happened and I need to try to let it go. Obviously nothing like traumatic or anything like that. I'll just give a, for instance, like, oh shit, something hit the storm or hit the fan at work. And I was really upset about that. And I talked to my therapist, and I'm like, okay, this was the reason this happened. Let me try to move on from this. I need to take that thought out of my mind instead of being like, oh my God, everybody hates me. Oh my God. Like I need to be like, okay, I talked to my therapist. I heard it out loud. I know what I need to do. And I'm going to move on from it.
Right.
Letting things go is so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Because I hold on to it. And you know me, like I care so deeply about what people think about me or anything. And I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it because it's affecting me as a person.
Right.
But now I'm learning through therapy and,
Mhm.
just everyday life and getting older because I'm going to be 30. I'm getting old. I'm 85. But, it's just, you got to let some shit go.
Right.
Because some of it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, do people in your life, are they going to really be there all the time? Like, do these people really affect you where it's like, okay, yeah, like you work with them and shit like that, but it's not like you have to be with them outside of work or, like if you go on vacation, you're not going to see them all the time or, even like, you know what I mean? Like those, for instance, it's
Right.
not like you need a harp on that.
Yeah. And I feel like, the most important part of that is letting things go.
Yeah.
Something for me that has probably been the hardest part of my therapy sessions is focusing on one piece of like, so, okay. For my therapy sessions, I like to balance out my positives and negatives. I have a little notebook for every session that I do.
That's awesome.
Things that go on throughout my week or month, depending on when I schedule my sessions. And when I finally start talking about them, I'll spend like 30 minutes on one bulletin, and it pisses me off because I'm like her in the sense of caring about stuff too much.
Yeah.
And I don't like having a bad relationship, and that's parents, friends, whoever.
Me too.
So, if it's, for instance, just to give you guys a little insight, if it's like one of the people who has blocked me or walked out of my life in the last year, I focus on that for an entire month before I talk to a therapist, because I could talk to my friends, I could talk to her, whoever else about it, but it doesn't take away the fact that that person left.
Yeah.
But what has helped me is the tools that my therapist has given me to get through all of these things that I focus on every session. Like she said, once you learn to start letting go of those things, everything about the healing process starts flowing a lot smoother.
Yeah.
So whenever you guys start walking this journey, whether it's, if you don't like therapy, whether it's talking to a friend or talking to a mentor, whatever it is,
or even talking out loud sometimes I
right,
feel helps.
yeah, absolutely. When you start addressing those problems one at a time, everything just kind of starts coming together, and the goal that you have in mind is finally showing a clear path. So
Mhm.
I definitely think that's a really, really important lesson, is letting things go, for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree.
So one of the most important parts of mental health for me is self-care. I've tried to make it a point to bring it up every podcast, and I like picking people's brains about it because everybody's different. Everybody approaches self-care a lot differently. So what are some forms of self-care that you practice before or after work during the week?
I need to get better at that, people. Just letting you know, I'm not gonna lie to you. I always put others first, like we talked about, but I'm getting to the point where I'm trying to put me first. So my thing is I could do better
Mhm.
is like taking care of myself is maybe like trying to exercise, maybe like hula hooping or just going on a walk or something like that. But I feel like personally for me, after a long day of work, because, that technician, I'm always on my feet. There's, crazy cases that happen. Most of the time, I'm like, I just need to zonk out. Like, I like to just lay on my couch, grab my cat Colby, watch a good movie, have my husband next to me, and just be like, yes, this is a great day. But it's like, I need to do better than that. I need to try to focus on something that's going to help me feel better.
Right.
So my thing was back in the day, I loved scrapbooking. I loved it. I would spend hours on like one section and it just putting it all together. But obviously, hobbies cost money. So I feel like if I could just try to do something for me, like maybe going for a walk or like just trying to treat myself better.
Yeah.
I could maybe just be more kinder to myself and be like, okay, Victoria, instead of you being a, lazy bitch over here, let's say, no, this lazy bitch had a long day. No, just kidding. No, but just being nicer to myself,
Right.
at the end of the day, being like, look, you had a fucking horrible day, or
Right.
you had an amazing day at work. Let's look at the positives from that. And maybe self-care could be,
Self-talk.
yeah, positive
Positive
for me,
self-talk.
because I'm
Yeah.
always negative to
Right.
myself. It's so annoying. Why do we fucking do that? Stop doing it. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. I can't do it.
I feel
Oh,
like
I can't.
I feel like positive self-talk is so hard
It is.
because
Again, I don't like talking about myself,
right.
and then it's like feels weird because you're like, oh, I'm the shit. I got this. I can do this today. It like feels weird. But then
Right.
it's like when you do it, you have that pep talk, like right before work, be like, it's gonna be a great day.
Right.
Everything is gonna be fine. I'm in surgery, but it's gonna be okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Getting yourself ready for the day.
It's
And then
kinda
it's
like,
and then when you do, it's like shit goes down. You're like, I'm not
this
doing
is
well.
this is fine. This
This
is
is fine. It's like you're in the room with a fire. Everything's fine. Everything's okay.
This is fine. This is fine.
It's fine. This is my life now. It's fine.
Oh, my car just got broken too. This is
It's fine. It's fine. I hate that shit. I
fine.
hate it.
I with the positive self-talk, growing up, I was bullied a lot. I didn't talk about it really to anybody. Few people who knew me back then kind of knew about it, but I always kept that shit to myself because, again, being stigmatized as a man, we don't talk about being bullied. We
Don't talk about your feelings.
we are looked at as weak and whatever. I was called every name in the book. I was insulted. Shit, I was insulted by my parents.
That's upsetting.
And it helped me grow into the person that I am now, and it's helped me learn how to talk to people. But that's not to say that those instances didn't hurt.
Of course.
You guys all know bullying isn't cool.
No. I don't understand why people fucking do that shit. And I know it's because insecurities and stuff, but why? Why would you do that to somebody else?
Right.
I will never stand for that.
Yeah. When you've been bullied, that positive self-talk is so hard because when you try to hype yourself up about something and in your past something has gone wrong, similar situation, it's hard to constantly remind yourself, I'm like, hey, we've gone through this before and it didn't end well the last time. So instead of going, this is going to happen again, we could always try and fix our wording. Like, it might happen again, but let's not think about it happening again. Let's think of
maybe a different outcome.
Right. What doors is this going to open? If, say you go for a job interview.
Yeah.
And you have your foot in the door here and you think the interview went really well and you think you're going to get it. And then we have that habit of getting ourselves so excited that when we think we got the job, you get that call and be like, hey, you went with somebody else. And then you're down in the dumps again.
Of course.
So I feel like instead of the famous let's hype ourselves up and be really excited about it, let's just be
practical.
Like, right.
Yeah.
If this doesn't happen, at least I tried. Or
exactly. Or I gave it my all.
Right.
I did the best that I could do, and I'm proud of that.
Exactly. And that's something we just need to practice more every day. Like, you are enough.
You are fucking enough.
And one of my favorite things that I have written on my desk under my monitor, right behind the left monitor, and it says, you are better than your thoughts.
Yes.
And it's something that I have taped to my monitor because it's something I need to remind myself of every day. Because, like her and like many others, we live in our heads. And sometimes it's not the easiest habit to break. Some people can just brush it off and be like, oh, gas is $17 a gallon now. Oh, well, at least I have a job. And it's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
But some people like me be like, oh, $17, 17 gallons, Jesus, $17 a gallon. I can't talk. And you sit in your head and be like, okay, now how am I going to afford my bills? Or how am I going to be able to buy something for my daughter or buy something for my sister. It's just, you sit there and it repeats in your head. So again, that positive self-talk, guys, and that helps a lot, is when you learn how to be gentle with yourself. And I swear to God, when you listen to this, Jessica, be gentle with yourself is the greatest piece of advice I have ever in my life heard. And it's so simple.
Yeah.
And when you explained it to me, my mind was blown, because I'm like, wow, instead of just saying you're a worthless piece of shit, Chris, you are a blessing to people and you were doing your best at all times. And that's enough for me. That gets me by every day.
Yep.
And, if it helps somebody, great. If it doesn't reach 1 million people tomorrow, that's fine. Those 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are listening, or, the people that'll tune into this, take anything out of this. Be gentle with yourselves.
I'm going to say I've never heard anything like that. So thank you, Jessica, for letting Chris say that, because it's amazing how you do it every podcast. Like at the end, I love your quotes. I know we're going to get there, but I love that because it's true. Just being kinder to ourselves, being gentle with ourselves. We are all human. We make mistakes. We're all in this together in a way. You know what I mean? We all live in this fucking world, but we can make the best of it, obviously, like what we were just talking about, instead of hyping ourselves up and be like, let's be practical. Okay. Yeah. Gas fucking sucks right now. It's insane. Yeah. It's even in Jersey. I think it's like $4.39, $4.40, like same here.
Right.
But it's scary because it's like, oh my God, how am I going to get to my job? But then I'm like, I just do it.
Right.
And it's like, granted, money is tight, sometimes you have to put something on your credit card. You don't want to, but I always try to think, okay, Victoria, I will pay this off eventually. And I'm doing everything I can with that. And I need gas. Yeah. I need to fucking go to my job to make money. Right. So some things you just have to do. And then at the end of the day, if you have to put stuff on your credit cards because you need food or you need gas or anything like that, that's okay. Right. It's not like you're going out buying a Gucci bag, being like, I'm so fat, so I got Gucci. That just isn't even a word. You know what I mean? But it's
oh my God, the Mean Girls quote. I love it.
I can't. I swear, I'm like, this is why I feel so much more comfortable, because I just feel like this is just us right now. Like, it's amazing.
It's so fetch.
It's fetch. Stop saying fetch. It's not going to happen.
Oh my God. Okay. If you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Oh my God. Younger self advice. I would be, your sister is going to be your life. Your mother is your life. And even though like you're in the Jehovah's Witness thing, it's okay to not be. It's okay to be yourself. Because with me, I'm going to share with you guys, I'm bisexual, or technically pansexual. I don't really put a label on it because I talked to my therapist about that. She's like, why do you feel like you need to put a label? And I'm like, I just always thought I had to, because being in that kind of religion, obviously it says, gay people, it's shunned against, like you can't do it and everything. So for me growing up, I felt like I had to hide that side from me. Like I thought growing up I was a lesbian, because obviously girls with their sleepovers, that's like one of those younger days, guys, just letting you know, with the girls and the sleepovers. But just saying, like, that's where mine started, where it was like, okay, I had those feelings towards women, but obviously because I was a Jehovah's Witness, I had to push that down. And by the time high school came, I was like, okay, I need to really get on this board. So I'd push the boy problems. So, and which was weird because I wasn't supposed to have boy issues, but that's a whole nother story for another time. But, I would just say, hold on, keep going forward. Your sister is literally your life. You're gonna, as long as you have that good support, which when everybody left, I have my sister, I have my mother, and thank God I'm finally having my father too, like what we've been talking about. It just sucks because I really do want that relationship with my brother, and I will still try to achieve it, but sometimes again, letting things go, or just kind of accepting things for how it is something that I do need to work on. Yeah. And I've gotten to know that though, like as I've been getting older, I'm accepting things for how they are. And there was a quote or something that I read on Instagram that said 3 things in my life that I realized is, you're never going to get the answer you always wanted. You shouldn't like maybe I can't remember the three because I have a terrible memory, but it pretty much went on the gist of being like, you have to understand that not everybody's going to like you. You're not going to get the answer you always wanted. And you need to accept, wow, I remembered. You need to have the, accept the things for what they are. And you might not get the answer you want because me, I like closure.
Right.
I like to go over and be like, hey, what happened? Like I had friends in my life too that were my best friend, like so close friend. And then all of a sudden I get ditched. And I'm like, oh, hey, what happened? Like, can we talk about this? What did I do? Oh, no, everything's fine. Well, obviously not because you're not acting like my friend, and it hurt. It fucking hurts when you think somebody is your close friend and they just fucking bail on you. So that was hard for me to be like, okay, I have to accept this because I'm not going to get the closure that I need.
Right.
It still hurts to this day, but it helps when you're like, okay, I've accepted this and I'm going to move on.
So throughout that whole sentence, there's a key word in there that I've talked about in several podcasts is acceptance.
Yeah.
Accepting things for the way that they are, I feel, is so important because all of my life, for as long as I can remember, I lived for my father's validation. I tried to live chasing a relationship, an unrealistic relationship with another family member. And it wasn't until maybe about 5 or 6 sessions ago that, my therapist just kind of like whispered, you have to accept people for the way that they are.
So true.
And when it comes to family, I use the word family so loosely because me personally, don't determine family as blood. Like, this is my family.
And you're mine too. You really
and there are so many friends of mine I consider more family than blood relatives. And, I don't think people who share your blood necessarily mean that they're family to you.
Yeah.
So those people that I've learned to try and accept the way that they are either parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, whatever it is. And I'll never be good enough for everybody, but I'll always be good enough for me.
Yes.
And
yes.
That's
like, say that again. Say that fucking again. I need to register that in my brain. I need to. Yes.
I'll never be good enough for everybody else, but I'll be good enough for me. Yeah.
That's like, why is that so easy to say?
So
but you don't. But we don't think about it.
Right.
Like, I can accept that.
Yeah.
But it's like, as much as I've been getting older, I feel like I'm getting wiser too. So I feel like I'm finally processing that to be like, you know what? It sucks that not everybody wants to be my friend. It sucks I can't make everyone happy, but I need to understand that that's a part of me.
Right.
And I can't let others affect how I want to be too.
Right.
I need to accept myself for how it is. If they don't like me, then they don't like me. Why do I fucking care if people like me or not?
I feel like as the type of people that you and I are, I feel like trying to have everybody like you, trying to be friends with everybody, caring about everybody.
It's exhausting.
I don't want to say,
it's exhausting.
Very exhausting.
Yep.
And I don't want to say it's a downfall.
Yeah.
Because it's not. I'm not ashamed of who I am as a person at all.
Neither am I.
If there's one thing about myself that I wish I could just snap my fingers and improve on is caring too much.
Me too.
But to also dig into that too is the amount of care that I have in my heart, I wouldn't change for the world.
That's true.
So
because that makes us unique.
Right. It's a double-edged sword.
It is. It really is.
It's you care too much, but not enough. And this person doesn't like you. That person doesn't like you. It's like, what can I do better? And
yeah, you can.
As creatures of habit, we try to mold ourselves to make everybody happy.
But then we lose ourselves.
Right. And then we get to the point of, who the hell am I?
Exactly.
You don't recognize yourself after that person's walked out on you because you stepped out of line. I actually am kind of friends with somebody who I treat with the utmost respect. Her and I always have really good conversations all the time. And sometimes I'll make a joke or whatever here and there. And it's just, if they don't like the joke, then they cut you off kind of thing.
No.
And it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I remember bringing it up to her one time, like, I treated you with the, most respect that I know how to, and always there for you when you need to talk and whatever. And then all of a sudden I step out of line, the mold that that person has for you. And then all of a sudden it's a problem.
Why can't they just be honest and say, hey, you hurt my feelings, or that was a little out of line. Let's talk about that.
Most people don't know how to talk to other people.
Or they just feel like it's more comfortable because they don't want to bring that up or have that communication, that they're like, let me just back off.
Right.
But I'd rather somebody tell me, yo, Victoria, you just insulted me.
Right.
So I can explain myself, because maybe I didn't mean to insult you. Maybe I was going through something, or, hey, I thought you would think this was funny, so obviously I'm so sorry. That's just something that pisses me off. It's
Yeah.
like, why can't people just be like that?
I feel like most people in today's society just don't know how to talk to each other.
It's true.
They
really don't.
Conversation I have with you isn't the same conversation I can have with your sister.
That's true.
Or the conversation I have with my brother isn't the same conversation I could have with my sister.
Yeah, no.
And
I
that's,
get that.
that's just reality.
Yeah.
Again, bouncing back to that buzzword, acceptance.
Yeah.
Once you're able to start accepting people for who they are, and accepting that you are who you are, and you can improve the things that I guess you would see as flaws, but that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Technically, if you think it's a flaw, somebody else might not.
Right.
They might be like, oh my God, I wish I had that quality.
Right.
Because a lot of people do say, yo, I wish I did have your kind-heartedness, because at my job, I try to, help as much people as I can. And then people actually say to me like, oh my God, thank you for your kindness, or that smile you said, or just like how the way you held my pat really like helped me. Because it's like, you don't know that the little things really do affect other people. That's why I got a little smiley face. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
This is my smiley face that I've always drawn on myself with a Sharpie. And I've done that since like probably high school. And I look at it and it just makes me smile.
Right.
And it's just the littlest thing to be like, oh, remember to smile,
Yeah.
So that's why it's just nice to have that reminder. And then some people, this one person actually saw it and they're like, I like your smiley face. I'm like, I actually drew that, but I didn't tattoo it on myself. I'm not that talented, but
you totally should get it tattooed on.
Oh my God, right?
Should be your next tattoo right there on your finger.
Be like, but it is.
You should. I'm not kidding.
Oh, you're saying for you?
No, you should. You should get
for
tattooed.
me to tattoo you?
No, you should get it tattooed on your finger.
What? I'm so
Smiley
confused.
face.
I had the smiley face.
That's tattooed on there?
Yeah, it's tattooed.
Oh.
It's tattooed, everybody. Look, it's not coming off.
I
But, like,
totally
literally.
blanked on that.
That's
I'm
why I
sorry.
was so confused. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I got my little thing.
glasses.
I haven't seen you since.
I lost
but
my glasses.
I hear they are. They're, right here. They're a little small, but no, like it's a nice little reminder.
Right. That's cool.
Thanks.
I have a tattoo. You've seen that one before, right?
Yeah, you showed me this.
I don't know if the camera can get it, kind of sort of see it. It's the 1 in 5 with a black heart next to it. For those of you who don't know, 1 in 5 people have depression, anxiety, anything mental health. And there's something that I kind of wanted to mention too, since you kind of brought it up, of the little things that make people's day. That story you tell me about that girl who's struggling, and just be kind to people, man. Like, you don't know how a simple hello can change somebody's day. Like, I was telling her when she came over before we started recording, I don't really have people to talk to throughout the day. I don't have anybody asking me about my day. I don't have anybody that I talk to normally every single day. And, that's one of the hardest things about this pandemic is, people are working from home. Some people are alone. Some people don't have kids or a spouse or whatever. And when you have somebody who is on the same level as you mentally and able to talk, like, I can sit here and talk for hours about nothing.
I know, that's how I feel. I feel so comfortable with it.
And it's because I don't have anybody to talk to. So you don't know how a simple hug, how a simple hello, even a smile, you don't even have to talk to somebody.
Yeah, because people are freaks and you can't trust everyone. That's what I need to learn about myself.
And a simple smile can make somebody's day. Like, wow,
it's so true.
They see me. Because in high school, I was that kid who always had headphones near him, always wore black. I was very to myself. And I wish people would have given more of a shit about me when I was younger. I really do. But now I'm old enough and almost 30 years old, and I can say that I want to be that person that I wish I had for people.
Yeah.
And
that's what I want to do too.
yeah,
I want to be that.
and a lot of people don't look at it that way. A lot of people, post about their accomplishments and how glorious their life is. And, that's great, guys. Keep, hype yourself up, be proud of your accomplishments, man, but be humble at the same time, because there was a time of your life where I'm sure you were down in the dumps and you wish more people cared. I've been like that my whole life. I'm not here to make anybody feel bad or this be a sad podcast, because it's anything but that. But I wish more people gave a shit about each other.
Yeah. And it's true, because it's like the friend that I just made from my job, like I honed in something that she said, and she said, oh, my dog and I have been living a little bit more in our car, and I have a really good friend of mine that's homeless right now. So I do everything that I can for him. And so I went up to her after the doctor left and I said, hey, I hope this doesn't come off offensive, but do you need anything? Do you need any like snacks? Do you need any pads? Do you need anything like that? Because, and then she's like, oh, I know I look a little, and I'm like, no, it's not like that. It's just like, I have a friend that's going through this. So I really want to be there for you if you need anything. And she's like, I wish there was more people like you. I've heard people say that, but the weirdest thing is, Chris, I've put that in one ear and out the other. I don't internalize that,
right?
Because it's just something on the daily that I just want to do. But then that's how I get fucked over, is because I put so much into people, and then once they're done, they just leave.
Right.
But I don't know why, but it's something that I like to do at that time.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with being there for people, and there's definitely nothing wrong with being good to other people. I think as a human being, it's important to establish boundaries.
Yes.
If you're having a friend stay over your house for a couple weeks till they get on the feet, or they need to borrow your car,
yeah, like what you were talking about, right? That was perfect, because it's true. That is yours. Yeah. Take ownership and be like, no, that's mine. You can tell them, hey, no, I need my car now. Right. I love that when you talked about it in your podcast.
Yeah, and
I listen to all of
them. And once you establish boundaries with anybody you meet, that can be parents too, guys. Like, boundaries aren't just for a certain person, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Whether it's a good friend, whether it's a sibling, your grandma, your dad, anybody. Guys.
You can even put boundaries on yourself.
Yeah.
To be like, okay, I know that I have this trait that I want to do this, but I think I shouldn't. So let me maybe trying to figure out why you want to do that, right. And maybe figuring out what you could do to replace that. Right. So that way you can have that boundary. Like I don't know.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right.
Yeah, because you can put boundaries on anything.
Like with our vices, gambling, eating, drinking, whatever
your phone
it is.
Time,
right?
Instead of wanting to be on your phone all the time, because I feel like I'm addicted to my phone, but it's not my fault. Like, sorry, Daniel, if you are listening, whatever. But it's to the point where when I come home, right. I don't answer all my text messages because I'm at work the whole day. So for me, I'm responding back to everybody. And these people that I've been talking to either are going through something, or it's my sister because I talk to her 24/7. But it's like, I want to be there for those people. But then I have to realize I have to set up boundaries, because I want to be there for Daniel too.
Right.
Because I haven't seen him all day.
Yeah.
And it's my time to be with him as well. So I'm going to try to do that too.
And you also got to, make time for yourself too.
Yeah.
I'm sure being in, married is difficult, but also in the same token, making that little bit of time for yourself, it doesn't have to be, oh, well, I need a week away from you. It could be an hour a day. It could be an hour every other day. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. That's what a lot of people misunderstand about self-care is it doesn't mean going crazy and, buck wild or whatever. It just means putting yourself first for however long you need. If you had a bad day at work and you don't want to talk to anybody because you've been around people all day, take that hour for yourself. Sit outside in nature, go take a walk, whatever you need to do, and
be by yourself in a room.
Right.
And if you need to scream in a pillow, fucking scream in a pillow.
Yeah, and that's self-care too, guys. I mean,
letting your emotions out.
Right. So kind of going back to one of our early conversations with the most important lesson and going back in time, at what point do you think would be appropriate for kids to start learning about mental health? Like, what age group do you feel is appropriate? Because I know we like to say kids are sponges, right?
Yeah.
And kids pick up on their parents' behavior. But at what age do you think would be appropriate for a kid to start learning about their mental health?
I want to say nowadays in school, like elementary school, they're too fucking smart.
Yeah.
So I feel like kindergartners, they know too much. So I would say when they start understanding, maybe incorporating and being like, hey, honey, so we're going to talk about this.
Mhm.
You know, everybody has mental health issues. I know that it's hard because it's like I don't know when to put an age on it.
Right.
And I forget her name, but who was the one with the last podcast?
Heather?
Heather. I think she talked about it with her
daughter.
kid.
Yeah.
How she said that pretty much like she does certain things with her kid, but she doesn't do all of it because
Right.
she can't.
Of course.
She was like 2 or something.
Yeah,
right?
she was 2, right?
Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those things where I would want to incorporate it, you know, in the lifestyle. And then when they start to understand things, and especially if they're going to school,
Right.
I would want to be like, okay, honey, did you see Billy get picked on today? What would you have done differently? Maybe you should have told the teacher, or maybe gone up to Billy and said, hey, or stand up for Billy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I guess it just depends, because I know every kid is different,
Yeah.
and you can't put an age on everybody.
Absolutely.
But I guess when they're more understanding of things, but I feel like school is so, like, I don't want to say toxic, but I feel like they learn so much. Fucking kindergartners have phones now.
Yeah.
I didn't get a phone till I was like, what, in middle
I think
school, and it was my mom's
14.
hand-me-down phone.
14, right? Something like
Yeah,
that, 13,
and I was
14.
like, it was like only for me to call my mom
Right.
and be like, Mom, come pick me up. But nowadays,
Remember when
everyone's
you
like,
had to buy minutes?
yes. And then I would have to go over and be like, fuck, I need another $1. And I put it in there and I'd be like, okay. Those
You
were
went
the
over your
days, my
minutes. What do you
friend.
mean?
I mean, like, I need to talk to this person.
Oh
I
my
need.
God. We're so old.
I know.
Oh my God.
We're gonna be 30.
30. It's a big 3-0, guys.
30. It's so funny though, because like I've gone to the store and I like don't want to talk about myself like this, but it kind of makes me feel good. Some people will be like, oh my God, you're 30. You look like you're 26. And I'm like, thank you, kind sir. Thank you. I guess my skincare that I do nothing is helping. Just these wrinkles from smiling. I don't know. And my genetics from my mother, you know? But I'm like, thanks, I'll take it. But I feel like I'm 85. My joints, like my fucking knees, my back. I was sitting with Chris. We were sitting eating dinner, and I'm like, oh, yep, pop, all that shit. Seriously. Oh my God.
I feel like for me, if it were up to me on when to start kids talking about mental health stuff, I feel like first grade would be a pretty appropriate age group to start, because I feel that's when they start getting to the point of where those influences start kicking in.
Yeah.
Like you said, every kid is different. So some kids absorb stuff a lot quicker than others, but I feel like you don't have to get into like anything crazy in first grade. You know, you can start with like a little activity book, you know, talk about,
oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
That's my alarm.
You know, talk about specific things that aren't okay as a kid. Like, you know, if you see kid A do this to kid B, you know, what do? You know, do you talk to
what would you do?
Right. But, you know, just talking about their mental health, saying like, you know, it's okay to talk about what you're going through. You know, you feel sad. Why do you feel sad? You know, obviously I'm not telling you to put your kids in therapy in first grade.
Oh, of course, no. But get them familiarized with it.
Give them that self-awareness.
Yes.
You know, like, oh, hey, you know, I feel really sad today, and I don't know why, you know, so-and-so stole my snack, whatever. You know, kids are very, what's the word? Impressionable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very easy to influence. You know, they're like sponges. You know, anything that you say to a kid, they're going to pick up and they're going to say it to somebody else. So you tell your kids it's okay to talk about your feelings to people you trust, then that's the first step in creating a generation of kids that will do better than our generation did.
Yep.
You know, I hate talking about it, but it's something that I feel is always needed to be brought up. And that's, you know, that's suicide. And while it's heartbreaking and it absolutely horrible that it happens, and this is the reality we live in, guys. And most of those people that are at that point in their life, they, they want the pain to end, and they want whatever is going on in their life to stop. And most of those people were not told, hey, it's okay to feel this way. How can I be there for you? Most people that are in that state of mind don't feel like
They can talk to anybody
they
about
can,
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's important to talk to your kids and teach these kids these lessons whenever they're old enough to understand, because you could prevent a whole generation. I mean, by the time these kids are like 18, 19 years old, maybe that rate will severely go down because we did our parts as parents when we get to that point in our life, and created that generation of kids that know what they're feeling and know when it's time to talk to somebody. I was at a very dark point in my life, twice, and both times I had somebody reach out to me, and still to this day, until maybe a couple of years ago, I didn't realize how dire my mental health became. And it took me 27 years to even consider a therapist. So,
And it's never too late to do that.
right.
You know what I mean? That like therapy is not an age set.
Right.
Even though I started younger here, it doesn't mean like, oh, I'm 45, I can never like learn that, or I'm set in my ways. No, it doesn't mean that. Like, and it doesn't mean anybody's trying to change you.
Yeah.
It's just if you tell that therapist, like, hey, this is what I need right now, they should be able to follow it. If
Right.
you're just saying, hey, I want to talk to somebody about my feelings instead of you critiquing me, try that first. And then maybe down the road you feel more comfortable, and then you can maybe see what they have to say. Like,
Right.
again, therapy is not one and done. You know what I mean? It's going to take some time. And obviously, like what Chris said, if you want to put in the work, obviously we recommend it. But baby steps. You don't have to go 1 to 100. You don't have to tell this person your life story, unless you're me, unless you're me, that I don't care because I'm like, everybody's gonna know my business.
Right.
It's fine. It's a therapist. But sometimes you can do it at your own pace. Like Chris said, you do it at your own pace. You put your little toe in the water, you wiggle it around and be like, okay, it's a little, warm. I feel comfortable to go in there, and you do it. And then you start wanting to swim because you're going to feel comfortable in there,
Right.
And that's all we want from you. We want the best for you. That's why Chris does these podcasts, because he wants to help you guys, and fuck, I want to help you and I don't even know you, wherever you're from. Hi again. It's so nice to meet you, but we're fucking real people. And sorry, I'm a sailor. I'm going to say that again, but like, we're real people out here that we just genuinely care.
Yeah.
And we just want what's best for you. And you putting yourself and doing the self-care just like 10 minutes or 30 minutes, like, obviously I need to take my own medicine here and my advice with that, but I'm going to do it. It's something I'm not going to beat myself up over, something that I know I need to work on. And granted, look at this. I'm on vacation for a week. That's self-care because I knew I needed to be with my family, and I'm here with my family, and it's something you got to do, even though money's tight, even though something like that, you can do something for you. You deserve it. Please remember that you deserve it.
And just to kind of stress the message, because I know it kind of got a little deep there for a second, but
sorry.
No. Just to stress this message to anybody who is listening, you are not alone.
Seriously, not alone.
It is okay to feel the way that you're feeling.
Yeah.
And want you to know that there are resources out there for everybody struggling, whatever it is. If you don't know how to look for those resources, ask somebody you trust.
Mm-hmm.
There are hotlines, there are text lines, whatever it is, those resources are there for you. And I encourage everybody to reach out to even the people that you think are doing really, really well in life. Some of us strong people put on a really good front, and some people that are really strong are struggling the most.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind.
Yep.
So there are many things that could relate to a person's well-being, such as accountability, self-awareness, etc. What do you feel is the most essential for everyone to work on before anything else? As mentioned before, there's no really right or wrong way to answer. So whatever you prioritize, taking care of your mental health, what is what do you feel like is the most important thing to focus on?
Important thing to focus on. Like at first I was saying, oh, hey, Chris, as we were reading this, I was thinking accountability, making yourself responsible and accountable for things. But now after talking to you, like you said, self-care, like that is really important because it's true. You can't help yourself or help others if you can't help yourself. Like that expression, like if you need to clean up your backyard, but you go help everybody, but you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
butchering that saying, but I need to take care of myself first before I can help others.
Can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly. And then the whole thing of if you're on an airplane and it's about to go down, put your mask over your face, then help your friend. You know what I mean? Listen to that. You need to help yourself before you can help your friend.
Right.
And I still feel like accountability is definitely there. And
Yeah.
at least being responsible for your actions and being like, you know what? I was the asshole. I was wrong. Instead of always blaming others for that. Like, let's be adults for once in our lives and take responsibility and say, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have done that to Sally. Maybe I shouldn't have said that to Harold. Maybe I should have understood I was in a rough situation instead of lashing out to them. Maybe I should have went back and said, yo, I had a terrible day. I'm so sorry. I just lashed out at you. Because you don't know. Those people, Harold and Sally or whatever, Sadie, whatever the hell I just said, they might internalize that and be like, oh shit, did I do something? Because knowing me, I have anxiety. And if somebody lashed out at me, I'm thinking I did something. So it's like, just be accountable for yourself and be like, no, that wasn't you. That was me. I feel like that would be mine.
I really like the mask the mask analogy because it's kind of, it's true when you think about it.
Yeah.
Falling down from a plane and you help somebody else before you help yourself. Well, then you're
gonna
screwed.
fucking die.
Right.
Yeah. You don't have oxygen.
And, for me, I feel, like I said, there's no right or wrong way to word this. So self-awareness for me, I feel like is something that I needed to focus on before anything else. And only because when you're aware of the things that you're doing is when you can finally start coming into the accountabilities. Like you were just saying, oh, well, I thought I was having a really bad day. That's the accountability part.
Yeah.
Now, before that is this self-awareness part. It's like, wow, I really said that to you. And how do I fix this?
Yeah.
Then comes the accountability part for me. It could always, self-awareness and accountability kind of go hand in hand with each other and feel like you could prioritize either one and still accomplish the same goal.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does.
And for me, I felt like it was a lot of self-awareness on this journey that I've been walking on because, that self-awareness comes with, realizing what your triggers are, realizing how you like to be talked to, how you like to be treated. So when you're self-aware of your surroundings and the people that you're around, how you want to talk to them and how you want to be treated by them. So the accountability is right there within self-awareness. I feel like they definitely go hand in hand with each other.
Yeah,
right.
Totally agree.
So I know you kind of did like a little bit of writing, like journaling for therapy and whatnot. So what does that process look like for you?
For me, I have again an app called Talkspace, or before that I would just do journaling. But like I have unlimited texting, so I can use that as my platform of expression of how I feel. For me, let's say I'm in the moment, something happened at work or something happened with a family member or just in general, I would be like going in there and being like, hey, this is exactly how I'm feeling. I felt like, this person was mad at me. I think I'm reading too much into this. But then it got to the point where I would keep writing and then reading it again. I'd be like, but I know how to fix this.
Right.
It was more like I was able to write it out and then figure it out by the end of it and be like, okay, well, thanks for the talk, even though it was me just talking to myself,
Right.
And again, like I went back to saying, like, if you don't want to talk to anybody, you want to talk out loud. Granted, I know a lot of people think, oh, it's crazy if you want to talk out loud. You don't need to be around a lot of people.
Right.
You can be in the center of your house. You can just say, hey, whoever's listening, if you want to even say that, or be like, hey, Victoria, I'm talking to you right now. This is how I'm feeling. And then just hearing yourself say it, sometimes you process it a lot better instead of in your brain where your brain's going to lie to you and be like, oh my God, you're a big loser. Everybody hates you. Oh my God, you know, but if I say it out loud and be like, oh my God, everyone hates you. Do they really hate me though?
Right.
Is that my anxiety?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just nice to say things out loud, because at least with my therapist, I'll talk out loud and then I just realize, oh, hey, I know how to fix that. Because no, I don't feel this way. I should feel this way. I like the talking out loud part.
Yeah. You know, it's amazing what you can accomplish when you write down stuff and when you speak your thoughts out loud. You know, sometimes when I'm cooking, I'm like, okay, I need this, 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 and I'll say it out loud. When it comes to journaling for me, I definitely feel like there's an art to journaling. When I say that out loud, I know some people might kind of be like, well, what do you mean it's an art? You're just writing down words that are coming out of your head.
No, you're expressing yourself.
Right. There's a way that you journal.
Mhm.
You know, you can write down a couple words and that could be your journal, you know.
Yeah.
For me with journaling, you know, my therapist, you know, she gave me the tool. I think I talked about it in a previous podcast, you know, called like the compassionate observer, or passionate observer. And basically it was a dialogue between, you know, the negative feelings or angry feelings that I was having and you know, the other, you know, the positive talk, the positive self-talk, mind you. And I would always end it with I love you.
Yeah, I fucking love that.
And when you can tell yourself that you love yourself at the end of anything, you know, whether it's you graduated, whether it's you got your driver's license, whatever, if you sit there and tell yourself that you love yourself, you're proud of what you're doing, you're going to eventually start to believe it.
It's true.
I've done 3 or 4 entries now and I've ended it with I love you every single time without even thinking twice about it.
Oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
And it's something that I one of the first things I kind of jump to when somebody's struggling, it's like, hey, like, have you tried journaling? I know that's kind of like, I feel like it's very popular to say that to people that are struggling.
Yeah, it's true.
And some people kind of take it the wrong way. I always try to stress like, hey, like journaling has helped me and it might not necessarily help you, but you can try and write buzzwords for yourself. You know, you can be like, okay, this is what's bothering me. Like this specific sentence is bothering me. You don't have to write anything else.
Yeah.
You know, journaling is definitely an art and it's something that you get better at every entry. You know, you're like, you know, today I told my coworker to fuck off. 5 entries later, me and my coworker are now best friends and we're going to the movies together.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's progress, guys. And
Yep.
journaling is about progress. And, you know, I have tattooed on my upper right arm, progress, not perfection.
Yep.
And that is something that mental health and healing as a whole, it comes with steps, you know, kind of like every program, you know, addiction programs. And I know a lot of people with those addiction programs, I know it's a struggle. I grew up with addicts. I know all 12 steps. I know how much work you have to put in for all of those. And it's important to realize that those 12 steps are not just solely for addiction. You know, there's steps for mental health. There's steps for talking to people, you know, be aware of the situation and how you're going to approach it. You don't have to go into every argument in conflict. You know, you can be the calm voice in any argument if you want to. Mm-hmm. You know, when too many people react to arguments in emotion and not think about it, and that's when self-awareness comes. That's when accountability comes in. It's like, wow, I pissed you off because I called you an asshole. Mm-hmm. And then I just kept it going because you gave me that same energy. You don't have to give that same energy back. It's like, okay, I understand why you call me an asshole, but let's talk about it.
Yeah.
And again, how you talk to people and how you decide to heal. You know, it's going to be a rocky road. I'm not going to sit here and say that
it's
the
easy
healing, right? The healing process is not easy by any means.
Yes.
But again, you have to be willing to put in that work. You have to be willing to make that progress, because that progress is not going to come to you without work.
Exactly. Nothing comes to you in life for free.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, if you really want something, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Like, For instance, you really want a promotion at your job. You know, you're going to work your ass off. You're
Right.
really going to try the best you can. And then you finally get that promotion. That's awesome. That's exactly how it is with your mental health.
Right.
You know, okay, I really want to get some help. That's wonderful. You took the first step. Now the resources,
Right.
you know, or journaling or talking to a friend or talking out loud or just trying to figure out what works for you is the best way to go. And I know I would just want to talk on this subject really quick, but I know that like Chris said that he's not about medicine, which is the funny thing though. I wasn't either. I was against it so much. It was to the point where I was having headaches, vertigo every day. My stomach was in knots. I have IBS too, so it wasn't pretty, but I had a lot of things going on. And it just got to the point where I was talking to my doctor and I'm like, look, I just want to see if I can try medicinal marijuana. So that way I can see if that helps me. It did help a little bit. You know, I tried that. I would do it a little here and there. I'm not the one to, 420 y'all, even though I've had some stories about that. That's just, that was by accident though. But, I tried it and it was helping for a little bit, but then it just got to the point where I was still really anxious and I can't smoke all the time and I'm not going to smoke on my job,
Right.
So got to the point where I was still feeling like anxious about it and I was still having these headaches and I was like, what the hell is going on with me? I went to a neurologist because I was like, oh my God, I'm having headaches. I'm having all this stuff, like what's going on? And he told me, he goes, I think all this is based on your anxiety. And I'm like, oh, here we go again. Another person talking about how I need drugs, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
He goes, okay, I know that you're really against this because I've talked to multiple doctors and they've all been like, here's drugs, here's drugs, here's drugs. I went to him and I was just like, I really don't want to try drugs. And he's like, how about this? You take a pill for your headaches, your vertigo, your stomach. What if I give you something that is super safe? You don't have to do blood work all the time for it. I prescribe it for 85-year-olds. It's safe with other medications and it helps you where you don't need to take your anxiety. You don't need to take, Pepto-Bismol anymore or my meclizine or fucking ibuprofen when those apparently were more harmful for me. So I was like, something clicked in my little brain. And I was like, he's right. He's so right. Because why was I doing all those things when I was fighting it so long? And I was like, you know what, Victoria, it's getting to the point where you're not even wanting to be social. I wouldn't even want to go anywhere.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Daniel and I, he'd be like, oh, let's go in the city. I'd be like, oh my God, what if I have to go to the bathroom and I can't go to the bathroom? And oh my God, what if I eat something? And then I was just a mess. And then finally I've been on these meds and, I've had side effects here and there, like I've gained a little bit of weight and stuff like that. And I've always been worried about getting addicted or, oh my God, what if I was trapped on a desert island and I didn't have my pills? How could I function? But it's like, one of those things where I don't feel like that anymore. Obviously, anxiety is not a cure, like allergies. You don't take an allergy pill to get rid of your allergies, just get something to cope with it. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to have my episodes, but I know how to handle them better now.
Right.
So that's why for me, I really like my anxiety meds, but it was crazy because I was on a 20 milligram because that's the highest you can go with my medication. And my mind was like, oh my God, everything's amazing. And my body was like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, doc, something's going on here. I don't know what's going on. And
Right.
she's like, it still sounds like your anxiety might not be, there. So we're going to give, I'm like, no. I don't want more. I want to try to back off. I'm like, can I just try to drop this a little bit? She goes, yeah, go to 10. And I'm like, I'm going to go to 15. So I dropped it down. I've been on 15 for like 2-3 weeks now. And I'm like, my body and my mind are talking to each other. It's like, oh, I'm feeling a little anxious. Yeah, me too. Wow, I know how to handle this now. Instead of being like, everything's wonderful. Why do I have like a pain in my arm?
Right.
It's fucking weird. But there's always going to be a trial and error with everything.
Right.
And,
I kind of mentioned the 12 steps that the addicts use for their NA meetings. The most important step out of that is acknowledging that you have a problem.
Yes.
Again, self-awareness, accountability. When you notice that you are struggling, like she was just saying with her anxiety.
Yeah, it was getting so bad.
And you notice, you realize that you need help.
Yeah.
There it is right there, guys. When you can acknowledge that you have something you're struggling with, reach out to anybody. It doesn't have to be a therapist right away. I'm not telling you to go right to a therapist.
Oh, therapist, mommy.
Right. And, find somebody you trust and, get their advice, see what you think you should do and go from there.
Exactly.
So is there anybody in your life that has helped you with your mental health?
I would happen to say it's my husband, and I don't want to be sappy about this. I don't want to be like, my husband, my wonderful man in my life. But like, no, for real, like he really has helped me a lot
Mhm.
because, again, like I said, growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, getting disfellowshipped, um, I'm almost 30, like we talked about. I still feel like a 10-year-old. I
Right.
feel like I'm still learning the world. I got thrown into it, being like, okay, bye, here you go. I was so vulnerable because, my big old heart. Fucking one time I gave this girl money because I felt so bad for her. She's like, oh, my phone, it's getting closed and I need $150. And I'm like, I want to help you so much. Gave her the money. She's sayonara. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, why? I thought this person was nice. So I've learned not to trust people, even though I have a hard time with that, but I'm learning. But it just got to the point where it's like when I met Daniel, he helped me a lot with my mentality to be like, you're going to be okay. He was in therapy for a little bit himself, but he was the lucky one that was like, oh, well, I needed to do a 3 session and I'm fine. Here we go. And I'm like, great. I'm in it for years and I'm still learning. But everyone's at their own pace. You
Right.
can't compare yourself. So joking there, but I feel like he's definitely helped me out. And of course, my sister, Nicole, my twin sister, she's my best friend, literally love of my life. She's everything for me because we have each other and we have that special bond, like even though she got disfellowship first and it was like, you can't talk to your sister. I'm like, the fuck, I can't talk to my sister. There's no way. So that's why we had each other and we still were able to be in each other's lives and be there for each other mentally because
Right.
we're both on the same mindset on that because we both been through it together,
Right.
and I feel like you've definitely helped me out a lot too recently.
I appreciate
Your
it.
podcast. Yeah, of course. And I'm not just saying this. Like,
I
I
know.
feel like I love that I feel like I can just talk to you now,
Mhm.
where I'll be like, Chris, I'm having a problem. Can I talk to you really quick? And we
Right.
just bounce off each
Mhm.
other like that. It's just the little things in life, like my mother too. Like, I love my mom, even though she brings spirituality into it a lot, the religion and stuff, bless her heart. But she's, there for me. She tries, and it's like I give effort where it's deserved, or whatever the expression is. Like, I know that she's trying to be there for me and she's trying to help me too. And she's trying to understand because she doesn't have anxiety. She's one of those lucky ones. It's like, what's anxiety? I'm like, what the fuck do you mean? What's anxiety? Wait, you don't feel like this? No. What does that feel like? Wait, what? Let me explain to you. But no, it's great because it's not always going to be family.
Right.
It's like you're like a very close friend of mine that's considered family too. You're like fucking my brother at this
Right.
point because it's like my brother's not in my life.
Right.
So that's
For
another
me,
story. But
it's funny that you say it doesn't have to be family.
yeah, it doesn't have to be.
For me, the person who's helped me since my parents got divorced when I was 8, believe it or not, was Teresa Ramsauer.
Oh, get out. That's right.
Yeah.
This Ramsauer was what? She was wonderful.
She taught me how to tie my shoes.
Get out.
She was there for me when my parents got divorced.
She was a great teacher.
Still keep in contact with her. I met her in first grade. I had her first and second grade, I think. Yeah.
I think I had her in third.
And when I tell you she is one of the kindest women I've ever met in my life, she was incredible throughout my life. I would always make a point to have my mom stop at Aunt Claude so I can go visit her.
So nice.
Me and her have dinner occasionally. This is, God, we're in 2022, so this is well over 20 years, almost 30 years now, close to that. Not 30 years, I'm sorry, over 20 years. And I still remain close to her to this day.
That's awesome.
And I consider her more of a mother figure than my own.
I didn't know that. I knew that you were close to her, but I didn't know that.
Yeah,
it's really nice.
And just in terms of the lessons that she's taught me, in terms of being just such a wholehearted person to me, just indescribable of just how much of an impact she's had in my life. And then of course my second mom, Cheryl, she watched me grow up. Again, another person who was there for me when my parents got divorced. I'd go to her house at 6 o'clock in the morning asking if her kids were awake, able to play.
Aw.
I remember one time I sat out in the middle of a rainstorm, I think at like 7 o'clock in the morning, waiting for them to wake up, had a blanket over my head, waiting for them to wake up. Um,
Hmm.
she was always there for me. We haven't been really in contact over the last 2 years because, life happens, the pandemic's been rough.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be family,
Yeah.
and those people have been very essential to us guys. Like I tried to preach before, just because they're blood related doesn't mean you have to call them family. So I guess the final question for you, is kind of a big one, and like I said, you don't have to dig too deep on this one. Everyone has a trigger either they are or aren't aware of. Are there any that you have, and if you do have any triggers, how do you go about approaching them?
So going over this, when we were talking about the questions and everything, I had no idea. Like, I feel like the worst person, but I was like, wait, what's a trigger to me? Like, I knew what triggers were, but I never stopped and said, what is a trigger to you? And I'm like, holy shit, that's an amazing question because I never thought about that. And for me, I've come to realize a lot of triggers for me have been religion and my brother, and it's quite sad to say my brother, but always growing up, I would want him to just think the world of me. And obviously me and my sister are the same, and we felt that way. I felt like we would fight for his attention. We'd be like, oh, I'd have to change myself to be like a cool person, or oh, instead of me being my normal artistic or singing person, I had to be this, fucking rocker girl that was like, I don't give a shit attitude instead of me being emotional. And to this day, sometimes when my brother calls me, I feel like, oh shit, what's going on? What does he need? Because he doesn't really call me just to talk shit, shit the breeze or whatever that expression is. You know, it's been a little rough, and for me to prepare for that, I still have a hard time with it, because I feel like I change on the phone for my brother, because it'll be like, oh, I don't give a shit. This is how it is. But at the end of the day, I shouldn't have to change myself for him to want to like me,
Right.
or to accept me because I like who I am,
Mhm.
and granted, I do like rock music and, I do feel like I don't give a shit. And then all of a sudden be like, I do care, but it's like, certain times I feel like I'm growing up though, where I'm
Absolutely.
feeling more bold with
Mhm.
myself to be like, why am I doing this?
Right.
I'm gonna fucking tell you how I feel.
Mhm.
And that's how it is. You don't have to always impress somebody and you don't have to make somebody like you, like we talked about. Not everybody's gonna like you, and you don't have to make everyone like you. And even your family members, like I want my brother to like me because he hangs out with other people and I feel jealous, sometimes I get really jealous about it because I want that relationship, but it is what it is. Again, accepting and learning, hey, I'm doing the best I can. It's on him.
Yeah.
And then speaking on religion, it's just a trigger to me because it was drilled in me. And again, I don't want to talk bad about Jehovah's Witnesses or anything like that, but it's one of those things where it was so drilled in me that I have no idea what I believe.
Mhm.
Like I was just thinking about that. Somebody's like, oh, do you really believe in God? And I'm like, I want to say yes, but I'm not sure because it was, oh my God, God and Jesus and this and this
Right,
and
right.
this, of course, like I want to say, yes, I believe in it, but do I really,
Mhm.
and it's just the best thing that came out of it was me, obviously going door to door. It helped me communicate with people, but there's a lot in that. Like I have abandonment issues from that, being disfellowshipped and my family doesn't talk to me, and I care about what people think. It stems from that too, because I always had to put others first. So I feel like I'm fucked up from it in a way, and I'm things I need to learn about. But obviously, I'm talking to my therapist about it. I'm going to learn it, eventually. But I'm going to be kinder to myself, about it, and just know that I'm taking one step at a time about it. And what I would do to prepare for that, because sometimes my mom talks to me about religion, is I do listen to my mom, but I'm honest with my mom, and I say, Mom, do you want me to be honest with you about this answer? Or is this something that you really want me to talk about, because I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm going to tell you how it is, and I don't want you to be upset. Most of the time she's like, oh, hey, okay, I get that. Or sometimes she'll be like, oh, okay. Because I never want to make it seem like I'm bashing it, because then you're
But you
considered
got to speak your feelings on it
yeah,
too.
but apparently you're considered an apostate, and I would never want to do that.
Right.
But it's just hard, because now I don't even know if I can view religion the same.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable going into a church, because I was taught, oh, any other religion is a false religion, So for me, I feel like religion's a sensitive subject. I want to believe in God. I want to try that, but triggering maybe for me is just taking a deep breath and just processing and saying, Victoria, you're your own person. You can think for yourself for once. And if you want to do research, you're going to do research. Like if I really wanted to figure out like religion stuff, I would do it. But it's not something that I really want to, because I just feel so scarred from it.
Right.
I guess that's what I always use, is the word scarred instead of triggered.
Yeah. I mean,
I never thought of that.
It's more or less the same, because trigger goes hand in hand with trauma. That's pretty much what a trigger is. You are triggered by whatever it is because you suffer from a traumatic event that had to do with that. So
like if I was afraid of bees because I got attacked once, and then
Exactly.
I had a
Right.
okay, got it, triggering event.
So like
got
you're
it.
scared of cars because you got into one accident.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Okay.
For me, suicide is a huge trigger. I struggle talking about that because I mentioned it last podcast, and the more that I talk about it out loud, the more I'm kind of okay about talking about it out loud now. Is I survivor, attempted twice, and not ashamed to admit that I did, and I was in a mindset where I just wanted the pain to stop. I wanted to stop feeling the way that I was feeling, and I'm grateful I'm still here.
Me too.
I'm grateful for the support that I get every day. And talking about it for the longest time was a heavy trigger.
No.
I don't like the subject. I don't like people bashing people who have
joking
done that.
about it.
Yeah.
Too. That's
and
not.
Before I was emotionally intelligent enough to process those jokes, it stopped becoming funny, and it started hitting me home, because it's like, wait a minute, you're joking about something that I went through, something that
It's not a joke.
Right.
It's not.
And I was obviously, we were all once kids, and we all thought jokes back then were funny. You grew up in the 90s, and you didn't have to worry about what you said and how you said it to people.
Yeah, it wasn't PC.
And now that we're in a state where we have to acknowledge that human beings are flawed, and acknowledge that we all struggle and all go through something, when you're able to finally recognize what triggers you have, religion's another trigger for me. Santi, my brother that passed away last summer, very religious, always inviting me out to go to church with him and his family. And I told him, I said, hey man, I struggle with religion and, talking about religion, because my grandparents tried forcing it down my throat when I was a kid. He's like, okay, no worries, man. You come whenever you're ready. If you feel you want to come, God bless you. I love you. And, he'd leave it at that. He wouldn't push it on me.
Yeah, you shouldn't push anything
on
people.
It was one of those things where the second I think about religion, I think about, oh, well, if you had tattoos, you're going to hell. Whatever else comes with that religion that my grandparents are.
Yeah, or like, oh my God, if you're feeling like me, bye,
Right.
you're gonna burn in hell or something like that too, because it's wrong. But I think it's kind of cool though, like learning about some other religions that they're accepting of it, because it's like, I feel like in a way they're growing too.
Yeah.
But I feel like it depends on what religion.
Yeah, I feel like there's extremists on every piece of our lives, whether it's a religious extremist, whether it's a political extremist, whatever it is, there's always going to be somebody that tries to drive the nail in every single point that they make. And
trust me, I know all about that.
When you have a person who isn't that deep into religion, or just kind of, I'll send prayers your way, but I'm not going to read you a Bible verse kind of thing. Yeah. And I'll say prayers for you, and I do pray.
No, nice, good for you.
But I couldn't recite a Bible verse to
Yeah.
anybody because I just can't bring myself that deep into it because you know, I'm still struggling every day with just waking up in the morning, you know, and religion's a trigger for me, talking about suicide's a trigger, and when you realize that a conversation is going in a direction that you don't want to, that's when the self-awareness comes in
And the boundaries.
right.
Mhm.
And that's when you're reminded of the trauma that you went through. It's like, hey, I don't want to talk about this right now because my brain is still healing, that
Mhm.
it's still an open wound and it hasn't healed.
Yep. And if
And
somebody doesn't respect that, they shouldn't be in your life.
right. And those scars, while I suffer from very many scars, all, you know, all internally, and, you know, of course, externally as well. You know, all wounds heal eventually. And I hate using that word eventually because that's something that people have said to me my whole life. I'm like, oh, yeah, this will happen for you eventually, you know, and
It's because we want it to heal now.
right. And people just need to realize that wounds will eventually heal. And
It just takes time.
you have to be willing to put in the work to help close that wound.
Mhm.
You know, like an open gash on your arm, you know, your body works together, all those cells work together to create that scab, and that scab turns into a scar,
I
you know,
think that's so fucking cool.
right?
Though. I really do.
And I it's goes the same for healing things that you suffer from, guys. It's be willing to put in that work, be willing to take care of yourself and put yourself first, but always, 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 most importantly, be kind to yourself.
What's going to be the quote for the end? I need to
So
know this quote.
the quote I have to get on my phone.
Okay.
So I'll record that after here.
Okay. Because
Um,
I'm dying to hear this quote.
so as you guys know, I like to do a quote at the end of every episode.
Mhm.
I will record that separately for you guys. Victoria, I just want to say thank you so much for being on this podcast with me today.
I really enjoyed myself. I was so scared in the beginning, but I just feel like we just vibe.
We always bounce off each other.
We
very
do.
well.
We really do.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you so
Of
much.
course.
Like I really
I appreciate
genuinely
you too.
like love you. And I'm really grateful that you wanted me to be on.
Of
your
course. For all you guys who have listened today, thank you so very much for your support. You know, like I said, we're going international. The group is almost at 1,400 members.
Get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And you started that. Oh my God.
And
Oh,
I just want to say I'm forever grateful for you guys. This podcast wouldn't have been possible without any of you.
fucking love the podcast. I
So-
really do.
So when this podcast drops, you know, hit the like button, hit the share button, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thank you guys again so very much. Remember that it is okay to be not okay and to be gentle with yourselves. Thank you guys.
Bye.